So I'm Chris. I am the taxpayer rights advocate for New York State. How many people of you are aware that we have an advocate at New York Tax and Finance? You were aware before today or before the invitation? Yes. My office has been around since 2009. I am the fourth advocate to be in this position. I'm very happy to be here. I want to talk to you about some updates. I want to talk to you about some things that I see, some things that are important to me as an advocate to help assist you, tax professionals, or for yourself individually as well. So we're going to talk about my office a little bit. We're going to talk about some program updates. We also have some tax law updates, sales tax guidance, very important, and our tax professional resources, right? We have a lot of information available for you on our website that I want you all to be aware of. So in my office at the taxpayer rates, as a taxpayer rates advocate, I have a staff of 7. It's now down to 6. Someone got promoted. I'm hoping to replace him, but I want you to know, that's it, right? For the entire department, for all 45 different taxes that we impose, for collections, for processing, for audit issues, we are supposed to know all of it, or we know where to go to get this information. And that's really what it comes down to, is we know where to go. My staff is very dedicated. They all come with expert knowledge in different areas. So I have people from collections, from processing, from audit that I can go to and rely on for information or to get me the information as to what our policy is, what the law is. So if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to fill out a DTF 911 and come to my office. Right, we provide free and independent problem assistance at the state. Yep, we do. And that correlates with the very last one on there, help resolve long-standing tax issues. We're a bureaucracy at the tax department. There's 3,500 employees. You may have someone in collections calling your client, asking them for information, trying to get them on a payment plan, but then you may be trying to deal with audit because you say the number isn't correct. So you're trying to do both things at the same time, and they're not communicating with each other. If you come to my office, we will get the 2 units to come talk together, and we'll say, let's make sure that the audit is correct, make sure there's no adjustment, and if there is adjustment, let's make sure they get the adjustment done. Then we'll go to collections to set up a payment plan or to figure that out. I want you to understand that that's what we do, and that's what we're here for. We want to ensure that all your issues are resolved in a timely manner. That may be kind of a joke right now. I mean, some of you have sent information in and you've waited months and months and months, and maybe more months for that information. But I go, it's important to know that the department is aware of it, and we're trying to move it as fast as we can. We're trying to come up with new procedures to expedite processes so that they can be moved faster. To help taxpayers understand important notices and deadlines, it's really important that you understand what a protest is. We're going to talk about that today. In the department, a protest has a very specific meaning. Just because you sent documents to audit or sent it into processing does not mean that you protested that liability. And I want to go over that with you today so that we can make a clear distinction of what that is. Explain taxpayers their rights and responsibilities under New York State tax law. And I do have something on here I want to point out. There's a special notice that's out there. It's called the IT 840. And I go, how many of you are aware of what our statute of limitations is for a refund? Simple question. What's the statute of limitations for a refund? 3 years, right? But there's an exception, okay? There's a suspension of the period of limitations to a claim of credit or refund for personal income tax for financially disabled individuals, okay? If you're financially disabled, and the IT 840 goes over what is financially disabled. Easiest example I can think of, do you have someone who's ever come to you and said, my mom has dementia, or my dad has dementia, and I've just realized they haven't filed their taxes in 5 years. Right? You don't realize it. But we all know that the dementia's kind of been there. They've kind of been paying things, paying their bills maybe here or there. But they could be financially disabled, and they could have overpaid. For the last 5 years, they could have overpaid. And you may be thinking, yeah, years 4 and 5 are out of statute. No, it's not. Like with this document, you can go look at IT 840, and we extend the statute of limitations based on a doctor's note. Okay? It's important that you know that, important that you know it's there. It's out there on our website, along with 10 million other things on our website, because it's huge. But it's important to know that there are certain things that are really important for you to help assist your taxpayers. How do you get help from my office? Easiest way is to fill out a DTF 911, just like the IRS. They use the Form 911. Ours is DTF, or Department of Tax and Finance 911. We get a couple thousand of these every year. We work them. If you mail it in or fax it in, doesn't matter. It comes to my office. It gets created the day we receive it. Gets assigned to an auditor that same day, or an advocate the same day, and they will either reach out to you within 5 days, or they'll refer your information over to the unit. Okay? We work with the units to resolve the issue. If you call this number, it is our call center, so I suggest that you not call, because they're not really going to create a case for you. It's more for individuals who call who have issues, immediate issues. They can come and call that number. One of the things I have on here is the homeowner benefit portal. So New York State does do the STAR program, School Tax Assessment Relief, right? I believe that's the acronym. We just had a big meeting with all the executives about acronyms at this state, right? We actually have a publication of all of our acronyms available on our website. So we actually have one. It's SCAR, and it's system formerly known as like Raptor or something like that. And we couldn't even name it something new. We used the term SCAR, and then our exec deputy commissioner was mortified to have to put this down because it was, wait a minute, but the C is for known, but it's supposed to be K. So he's like, that doesn't make any sense. Anyways, we have a homeowner's tax portal. You can go on there. Your client can go on there. They can sign up for STAR. They can enroll. They can check their status. They can switch to the STAR credit. It's really important. They can do the direct deposit. How many of you heard that STAR can now be direct deposited into your bank account? Oh, good.
And it's really quick.
It is. Because I'm going to say, I'm in Albany County, and my taxes are assessed September 1st. So that's when the mailing goes out. And on August 31st, I got my STAR direct deposited into my bank account. I didn't have to deal with a check. I didn't have to go to the bank. I didn't have to use the app on my phone. Direct deposited. And what's going to happen next year? It's going to be direct deposited into my bank account. Right there. So please. If you go to our website and you search STAR, you can find the information about setting up through the New York State portal, and you can sign up for the STAR program through that way.
It took like 5 minutes.
Yep, it's 5 minutes. It's not hard. Yes. The STAR credit does not have a deadline. It's whenever someone moves. Okay? A senior STAR credit. The enhanced is based on your tax filing to ensure that you're underneath the threshold, 110,000 or somewhere around that dollar amount. There is no deadline for that, but when your filing comes in, we'll determine whether you get regular STAR or enhanced STAR. And if you have a problem with that, please come see me, come talk to me. We can talk about that. But if you have someone who comes to your office and you realize that their address changed from last year, just ask them, hey, did you apply to your STAR for your new property in New York State, right? Something very easy for you to do. Makes you look great. Because someone can say, oh, I forgot. I forgot to sign up. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, that could mean $600-700. Yes, Phyllis.
Yeah,
It's great. I mean, it is one of those things that most people don't think of when they're buying a home, and their real estate agent doesn't think of it because as soon as the closing is done, their real estate agent walks away and goes on to the next one. But it's really important when they come into your office because they do have 3 years to apply for STAR to get it back. So even when they come in, it could be months later, they can apply for STAR and they can get it retroactive too. So please know that this is there. The portal is great. It's easy. You can sign up. And then it gets direct deposited in your bank account. And no one has to be waiting for a check. You don't have to look for it, nothing like that. You can just see it right there. And it comes on as STAR credit on your bank account, right? So it's even, you even know that it's...
That's what it is.
Yep. Yeah, if you want, you can email me, or I can, if we do these presentations again, I can have more information about STAR. It's not something I'm super familiar with, so I'm not going to go like too in depth, but I do know that they do pay people out for STAR well in the past. Yes? Co-ops are different, so I'm going to kind of leave it at that. Okay. So if you are down in New York City, and there's a lot of questions, Robin Lee is back here. Robin's right back here. She's a New York City advocate. So if you have any questions, especially regarding homeowner credits down in the city or New York City issues, she is your person to go talk to, and I recommend you to go talk to her because she's great and she'll definitely help you out. So if we have STAR questions, you can email me. You can come to my office. If we have questions, want to go more into this at another point, I'm happy to do that too. Quick pay for businesses. So we have quick pay for individuals. So if you owe, I think, less than $10,000 or something, you can make your payment online. It's very simple. There's no fee. You really just need your bank account. This is not like a credit card way of paying. This is like through your bank account. Easy to do. And now we have one for businesses as well. So it's easy for a business to come in, make a payment. They don't have an online service account, that's okay. If they forgot their ID, they don't know the login, they just want to pay it today, not a problem. They can just do it. Go onto our website, type quick pay. It's easy. One of the things they do need, though, is they need to have some information about a previous filing. So to ask you for maybe some of the different taxes, corp tax, sales tax, withholding tax, and they'll ask you like a specific year for filing. So know that we have quick pay for businesses now.
So can they actually file a return for quick pay?
You can't file the return, but you can pay an assessment, which is a liability, which is a bill, right? So it's all kind of, quick pay is intended to pay an outstanding liability. Outside of our online service program.
Yeah, I have a client that lost his ID.
Yeah, we can help you out and get you in touch with someone who can reset it so you can set up a new password. That's really a very easy thing to do. Sales tax amended returns. How many of you do sales tax? Oh, a lot of you. Oh, wow, this is great. Okay, good. We have amended returns. In the tax law, up until this year, there was never amended returns. There was nothing in the tax law that allowed us to accept them or deny them, but we did, and we treated it like every other amended return, 3-year statute of limitations kind of thing. We have now amended this to actually include amending the returns. Please note, you have 6 months to amend your return down if it's not full paid, okay? So it's really important. So if you have a client who has a business, they close up shop, they forget to mark the final return, so then some assessments go to their old business address, right? They don't get it because they don't update their address, so please update your address too when you close up a business. They don't get it, they have 6 months to amend the return down, or once it becomes fixed and final and that 6-month period hits, they got to pay the liability in full in order to then amend the return. So if you full pay your liability full pay the return at the beginning, nothing changes. You have 3 years. Come in 2 years and 6 months later, you can amend your return down. We're now calling it an application for a refund. You're not amending your return, you're asking for a refund. So please be aware that this is out here. This is for periods starting December 1st, 2024 going forward. So it's not retroactive. It's only for periods starting this December on. It does not affect anything previous. So this is only for the tax return starting December 1st, 2024 forward, not retroactive. You can amend any current return that's out there or anything within the last couple of years. TSBM 24-2S has all the information you're going to need to know about it. And we'll probably provide some more guidance out there, but know that that's there. Withholding tax changes. How many people do withholding tax returns? Okay, good. We have a huge change coming in March 2025, okay? Basically, you have 4 parts to your withholding tax return, A, B, C, and D. We are eliminating Part D. The way the return is filed is going to change. All the information is the same, but since we're eliminating Part D, you go, well, what do I do if I want to amend it? Well, the new way to amend the document is you submit a whole new return exactly as you want it amended. Okay? So there is no more Part D. So say you have 100 employees and you filed your return timely, everything's great, and you realize like, oh, shoot, I had 101 employees. Well, you file the same 100 employees on another return, and you include the 1 additional employee, and you make any payments that may be needed for that 1 additional employee. That's really the biggest change. There's a couple things you can pay through ACH debit for all different types, but we have a lot of information about this. I suggest you go to our website, type in withholding, you log in to our, or if you can sign up for emails, because if you sign up for emails, you can get all of the current information regarding this withholding tax change.
Still going to be connected to unemployment on the NYS 45 or a whole different thing?
Nope, they are still connected because parts A, B, and C are still filed together. Also, A, B, and C have to be filed together to be considered a complete return.
But they still won't talk to each other.
We're working on that. Department of Labor was here today, okay?
I know.
Right? I got Department of Labor to come here today, so at least we can sit there and say that it's a step in the right direction. But it's a web file application, and for more information, go to our website. If you use like Paychex or ACH or any of those like big companies, they are already working with us. They're testing our system. We're making sure they're up to date. So for any client that uses those larger entities for their payroll services, they shouldn't see any difference, and they can get guidance from those companies as well. So I suggest you just sign up for this because this is coming live in March of 2025, a time when you guys are not busy at all. So you're going to get questions, and I suggest you just be aware of it. So I suggest to sign up, even if you don't really do them, just so that you're aware of these changes, kind of what it means, and a few things like that. PTET, everyone's favorite program. So PTET is related to the Tax Cut Jobs Act legislation from 2017, I think, which sunsets in 2025. And if I have my way, and if I'm reading this right, if that program sunsets, so does PTET, which would be nice. Yeah.
Actually, I disagree. I want to keep it going.
Keep it. So 2 things on here to talk about PTET. This is our pass-through entity tax, again, trying to get away from acronyms. If you are amending your return, we at first did not allow amended returns, quickly realized we need to allow amended returns, Then we said, oh, you need to ask us if you can amend the return and explain to us why, and then we'll say yes or no, and then you submit your amended return, which seemed kind of crazy. Now we're saying, we want you to tell us why you need to amend it and send us that amended information at the same time. So we can sit there and say whether we want to allow it or deny it, and if we allow it, we already have the information to amend that return. Second thing on here is that you have a year from the extended due date to amend your PTET return. Most returns have 3 years to file an amended return. This is only 18 months. Chris, why is it 18 months? Because there's nothing in the tax law that says what the time period is, so the commissioner has determined 18 months to be a good time period. Reason being, once the PTET return becomes fixed and final, after that 18-month window, the individuals know what their contribution from their entity to them is, for them to now amend their return or file their own personal return, right? We don't want this back and forth between corporation or the entity amending the PTET, individuals got to amend, then they amend, and it keeps going back and forth. So this makes it easy. And for 2023, it expires September 15th, 2025. Does anybody have any questions?
Just to put another plug in.
Okay. So another thing on here is don't forget that the election needs to be made by the partner themselves. You guys can't do it. You shouldn't do it. Yep, the business makes the election. Yep, and then also it's January 1st to March 15th. So please don't call us on March 15th saying that my client is skiing in Aspen and he can't get down to log on to make his election. So can you do something for me? No, I'm not going to, right? I wish I was in his place skiing in Aspen, but no. So yeah, try to get them filed as soon as possible. January, you can always amend it. If there's a change to the partners or change the percentage or whatever you want, you can amend it up till March 15th. So please just get them to get on there and sign it. We have more legislative changes, extensions, things like that. I'm not going to go over them. I want you to be aware that if you go to our website and you search what's new, it's going to bring you to one of the first options is going to be a web page for our legislative changes. And it goes by year. Okay, so right now we're 2024. If you click on that, it tells you all the different legislative changes we have for the different major tax types. Not all of them, but the major ones. And we also have on there 2023, 22, 21, and 2020 legislative changes. We feel like it's trying to put all the changes in one spot for you guys to be able to see it and know it's there. Fraud. We all talk about fraud, and I got a slide here to talk about fraud. What we're trying to do is just get some information out there for you to know what happens if you guys have any unauthorized accesses on your system. Okay? First thing that you need to do is you should contact the tax department, and you can call us or you can file the form DTF 275, identity theft, tell us who your clients are so that we can put a notifier on their account so that their account can go through extra scrutiny for the next couple of years to make sure that nothing nefarious is going on. Okay? So we have a regular program to check for fraud, but then if you tell us that you had unauthorized access, we will put your clients through a little extra security to make sure that it's right. I don't know everything that it is. I'm thinking maybe your bank account changes to something different. Maybe it would get screened separately. You know, things like that would kind of pull it out. But please know it's important for you. I think for this year we had about 35 unauthorized accesses that have been reported to us for like closer to 50,000 taxpayers, if not more. So, and that's what's reported to us. Think if you have unauthorized access on your system, How many clients do you have? Right? Between your partners, between associates that you work with, how many clients do you have? And if you have an unauthorized access, all of those people are in jeopardy now. And I know it stinks, but it's really important. And this is just New York State. You should also contact the IRS as well. Sales tax resources. We have a lot of information on our website regarding sales tax. And I know that's not your primary focus. So when someone comes in and asks you a question, like, hey, is this marshmallow taxable? The question is it a big marshmallow or a little marshmallow? Right? That's always that's my favorite example. And that's true because the big one's considered confectionery, it's considered candy. The little one's considered a baking product and is exempt. Same thing, just because of the size.
I'd like to know when you decided to make annual sales tax March 20.
So please go onto our website. TBST74 Quick Reference Guide is great. It's great to have on hand. It's great just to provide to your clients. They come to you and ask you a question. A lot of it's there. If you go onto our website as well and you look up for guidance for specific industries, we have like 70 different industries we've identified. And we have all of the TSBMs or tax bulletins associated with that industry. So if you want to talk about hotels, you can click on a link for hotels and they have everything that's associated with it. Or capital improvements, for contractors and things like that, which is a huge one. A lot of information. It's out there. And if you don't know, you can email me. I'll find it for you and I'll get it to you. It's there. I want to make sure that you're aware of where the website is, where that specific website is, and what's available on there. Bulk sales. Who here has done a bulk sale? Okay, a few hands. A lot of people do sales tax. Not many people do bulk sales. Who knows what a bulk sale is? A bulk sale is a sale or transfer or assignment of business assets in whole or in part by a person required to collect sales tax. It's called a bulk sale. Okay? So if you have a client who owns a couple gas stations and there's another one for sale and he goes, I want to go buy this gas station. You say, great. Let's go file a bulk sale before we do it. Right? You can have the contract, you can have everything there. The purpose of the bulk sale is for you, who's purchasing this entity, to notify New York State, says, hey, I'm going to buy this company. And then we come back and we'll come to you and we'll say, great, they owe us $50,000. Before you file, before you make that transfer, you're going to have to pay us that $50,000 and whatever left is going to go to the seller. Okay? It's very important. There are two forms on here, the 197.1 and the 162.2. If you file like a month before, and you say, we're doing a bulk sale, when we receive it, we have 10 days to get back to you. I think so. Is it 5 days or 10? It says right here. We have 5 days after receiving the 196.1, which is the bulk sale notification, to issue the 197.1 or the 196.2. The 197.1 is your golden ticket. It means they have no liabilities and you can continue with your transaction as normal. You don't need to worry about anything, and you can't be held responsible for any of that person's liability because they don't have any liabilities. So you're good to go. If you receive a 196.2, it means they have outstanding liabilities. So if I'm buying this gas station for $100,000 and the tax department comes in and says, yeah, they owe $50,000 to the tax department. So you, purchaser, need to take $50,000 and pay us, and then the other $50,000 can go to the seller. Right? So tax department's whole, you're whole, and the client's fine. Their liability got paid off. Problem is, many times, the seller and the buyer know each other, and the seller says, yeah, I'm great, you don't need to do a bulk sale. Right? That's the problem. Oh, that's just paperwork. You don't want to do that. No, you do want to do that. It's an insurance, right, for you, the purchaser, that you're not going to be held liable for this other person's debt. Because now, say this gas station didn't do a bulk sale, what's going to happen? Once the state finds out, you own it, you get the bill. We're going to come back to you and say, hey, you bought this business, but you didn't file a bulk sale. So yeah, you paid that guy his $100,000, but you owe us $50,000. And we're going to assess you as a responsible person as well, right? Responsible persons are a tough one. Right here, what is a responsible person? So liability, sales tax liability on an individual for a sales tax obligation. Could be certain owners, officers, directors, employees, managers, partners, or members of a business. How many people have clients who've been RPs, responsible persons? Few, yep. It's no fun. It's a trust tax. We're very rigid on trust taxes. So being an RP is a big deal. And small businesses can get into big tax problems, right? It's easy for a pizza shop, a convenience store, gas station to get into issues with sales tax. The responsible person is jointly and severally liable for the tax owed along with the business, right? So whether the business comes from the individual or the business, we don't care, we just want our payment. As AJ mentioned earlier, and who's the other gentleman who I think was in here earlier this morning? Frank. They both sat there and said, deal with the states first, right? And I think you all know New York State is notorious for being very aggressive in our collections. So please be mindful when it comes to a responsible person who isn't a responsible person. We have a DTF 17.1. The DTF 17 is the application for sales tax. The 17.1 is a big list of all different entity types of who is and who would be, may be considered a responsible person for that type of entity. There's a questionnaire. Do they sign checks? Are they in charge of hiring and firing people? Right? Do they make daily business decisions? Do they make financial decisions? These are all questions that we ask, and we would ask on an audit to find out if you are a responsible person. Just because you're not listed as a responsible person in our system doesn't mean you're not a responsible person. To that extent, one of the things that an area, an LLC, if you're a limited liability corporation, every member is an RP. Every member. I don't care if you're a silent member, silent partner. You're considered an RP by the letter of the law. You're a 2% owner, you're an RP. In 2020, we came out with a new guidance that we will give relief to LLC members who obviously are an RP, but they are not under a duty to act. Think of a silent partner, someone who's a 10% owner, 20% owner. There are a few requirements. You have to be less than 50%, not involved in the day-to-day operations of the business. But we will give you relief, and we will adjust your liability to your percentage share that you own. So if you're a 2% liable member or a 2% owner, you can come in and only pay 2% of that bill, and you're done. But you have to do it in the time frame that's required. So please, go look at this. It's important to know it's for specific LLCs and some LLPs. But I want you to be aware of this because I feel like this is something new that was enacted in 2018. We gave notice of it in 2020. I don't think this was on anyone's radar in 2020, right? And the last thing on here is removing a responsible person. If you have someone who worked at a business, and they worked at a retail shop, and they were, the manager, and you see that they moved to a new business when they came in and they're doing their taxes with you. Maybe make a note and be like, hey, are they an RP? You should go onto the system and you can remove them through online services, or you can file a DTF 95, a business change form. You can remove them as a responsible person. But unless you notify us, we may consider them still a responsible person, and we may still at least assess them as a responsible person, even years later. It's really important that we get who is and who isn't a responsible person. They're identified as a responsible person, we'll probably assess them, and it's your job or your client's job to say, I'm not a responsible person. Well, now you need to show us. Sometimes it's easy. I moved states, right? Or I moved across the state, completely changed jobs. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's hard. It can be very difficult. Protesting a department notice. I said earlier when I mentioned protesting is not the same as disagreeing. Protesting it means that you have filed for Bureau of Conciliation Mediation Service. It's a mouthful. BCMS. It's Conciliation Services. So please be aware of that. It's a CMS 1. You need to file it timely. If you get a bill, it needs to be filed within 90 days of receiving your assessment. Or you can go to Tax Appeals Tribunal. It's another option, but that's a little more aggressive. If you protest our notices, they mostly would be on a notice of deficiency, a notice of determination, or account adjustment notice. Those are the three. If you get certified mail, that's really a strong indicator that they're getting a bill. Certified mail. So if you see something on your online services account, please ask your client about it. Oh yeah, that came in certified. I didn't want to touch it, right? It's right here. No, you got 90 days. 90 days. And once your 90 days are up, you're done. It's now going to go to collections, and we have one of the most aggressive collections department in the country, and we're going to come after you. They're talking about $25,000 is what would be a lien would be put on your property. That's like, I can only imagine if that was the number for New York State. It is way lower than that. If you have any possibility that this bill is incorrect, protest it. Just protest it. There's no harm in it. So please, know to protest it. Collection actions. Right? We contact taxpayer by mail before we begin the collection process. Yep, we send you a letter. Help, your debt may be subject to collection actions. Boom. I've notified you. That's it. That's to your last known address. You could have moved, but we notified you. We've done our job. What's a collection action? An offset is not a collection action. That's an administrative adjustment. Okay? So we don't need a tax warrant, a lien, or anything like that to do an offset, like a federal offset, or to get an offset from state contracts. If you're a business that has contracts with the state, some people get notified that there's a liability, and rather than your client getting paid, the state would get paid. We have tax warrants on here. That's one of the first things we're going to do is issue a warrant. But we can also do a warrantless income execution. That is something that we have as something that we can do. So people may get an income execution notice prior to a warrant. What is this, Chris? It's a warrantless IE. It's meant to be less aggressive. Okay? I'm still trying to collect on you, but I haven't gone to a warrant yet. Tax warrant just lets the public know that you have outstanding liabilities. We can levy your bank account. We can do an income execution. We can seize your assets. That 30-foot sailboat down on Long Island, we can seize that. If you have a nice sports car, we can seize that. Suspend your driver's license. You owe $10,000 or more, I can suspend your license, just like that. Hopefully none of you have any clients that are like this. And we do have a private debt collection service. So if your client is notified, especially out of state, or someone contacts you who's out of state, and they were contacted by a private company, that may be accurate. And you can go to our website, search up private debt collection, and it'll tell you who the companies are that we're allowed to work with. Resolving a tax debt. We want to find a resolution. One of the best things we can do, how many of you have had a client where you've completed their tax return and they owe like $5,000, and you kind of sit down with them and then you go, yeah, you got to pay $5,000 April 15th, and they sit there and look at you and go, I can't pay it. Right? Best thing to do, file that return. Chris, they can't pay it. I know. You're going to reduce your penalties by filing it timely. A late filed return is probably the worst penalty you can get. Late payment, that's much smaller. Deal with it. So it could be February, and they could be ready to file a return. Say, let's file your return today. And you know what? Later this month, can you pay a couple $100? Great. Let's make a payment. There's no bill yet. April 15th hasn't come yet. But that couple $100 gets added as a timely payment. And then March, they make a couple $100 payment. Maybe $500 payment. Again, another timely payment. It's important. And by you coming in and getting them to make payments is showing good faith on their part. So that way, when a bill comes out, it's easy to set up an IPA. Things like that. Yes?
You guys don't have an installment, one installment option like the IRS does.
An IPA, installment payment agreement? Yeah.
With Pro Series, there is an option to file a return with an installment payment.
You cannot, oh yeah, you cannot file your return. No, what he's asking is, can you, if you're, so in my scenario, you cannot set up an IPA immediately. You need to wait for a bill to come, and then you can set up the IPA. That's what they do?
Yeah, I mean,
No, right, that's the best way to do it.
if they cannot pay the whole fare, that's what I tell my client.
And there are times where people have been making payments. If you sit there and you have a bill of, say, $3,000, and you're paying $500 a month, we may not contact you. We may just let you keep paying the $500 a month. We won't send you a letter. We won't send someone after you because we see that you're making voluntary payments, and that'll be paid off in a very quick time. Right? So then there's nothing for us to do because we see that you're doing your due diligence, or your client is, by making their payments. It's when they stop paying or when they don't pay. That's when we have problems. Right? You can full pay it. Obviously, that's, okay, right, okay. Set up an installment payment agreement, right? You can set it up yourself. You can do it online. Limits $20,000 to do it online. If it's under, I think, 3 years, and it's for an individual, you have no other outstanding liabilities, you can do it automatically by yourself. You can disagree with the bill or action. That's not protesting. But you can disagree. Someone gets a bill or assessment. Years later, they have no protest rights. They can disagree with it, and we can come in and work with them. Apply for offer and compromise, very much an option. One thing I will note is that there's specific language I have here. In accepting, we will not accept an offer and compromise if accepting it would not be in the best interest of New York State. Okay? It's kind of vague language. Our offer and compromise program is different from the IRS. Well, it depends. She just said they want their pound of flesh. It depends. What tax type are we talking about? Income tax? Yeah, we can easily work with you. We can take a smaller percentage. Sales tax? Yeah, withholding tax? No, they're fiduciary taxes. We want probably 100% or close to it. Okay? We're difficult on that.
It wasn't yours to begin with.
What's that?
It wasn't yours to begin with.
It wasn't yours to begin with. That's the problem, and that's where people get in trouble. So please, offer and compromise. I do think they're around a 50% acceptance rate. They ask for a lot of information. And like AJ mentioned first, go to the state first and work with them, and then you can go to the IRS. And we have voluntary disclosure and compliance program. Great program. They're easy to work with. So if you have a client who comes in and says, I haven't filed my return in God knows how many years, we can work with them. Tax professional online account. How many of you have one? Oh, come on, people. Every hand should be up. It's great. I think one of the things I like about this is that you guys can see open bills. You can't see past bills, so if you get a new client, you're not going to see their old bills. But for anyone you currently have, you're going to see their new bills. It's great to get on there and give them a call Monday morning. Hey, Bob, I see you got a piece of mail last week, right? And they don't like it. Oh, you can see that too? Yes. How are we going to address this? Right? Really important for you guys to do that. You can make payments on your client's behalf. You can see their payments. You can see the status, things like that. There's a lot. You can respond to notices on their behalf. It's great. So if you have any questions or you have problems with online service account, please let me know. But I think when you go to your online services, your professional online services account, so the TR-2000 is a form the client fills out, and then you just retain it yourself. You hold on to it. Then you go on to...
Stupid approval process like we do with the 8820. It's instantaneous.
Then you go on to your professional online service account.
They have to log into their account.
Nope.
You're logging in with their TR-2000 and you're just pulling them right into your account.
When you say, I want to add a client, and in that process, you put in their social security number, and your verification process is like, you pick, like, within the last 5 years, one of the returns and what's their AGI. So you have, like, specific information to note, and then we will add them to your account, and then your client will get a letter in the mail saying that you added someone to your online service account for professional purposes.
Only time it's a problem is if they don't know where they put their last tax return to give you the AGI or whatever. That can be a little.
Correct. TR-2000. So it's great. It's easy. I suggest we do not accept electronic signatures. You got to fill out the POA, print it out, and then the client, taxpayers to sign it, and you send it in.
Yeah, we could get the TR-2000 still set up.
Right.
So here, benefits of a professional online service account, right? You get access to your client's information, you can file returns, resolve issues, get instant confirmation on electronic payment. How many people have told their clients to make estimated payment and they say they did, but they actually didn't, right? I think every single one of you have. And it can eliminate phone calls and hold time. Talking about phone calls, our tax professional hotline, great number. I think you all have it. You should have it. If you don't have it, please make sure you write this down. There is like no wait time on this line, even on April 15th. It's like a couple-minute wait time. It's very quick. You don't get like a level 1 call center rep. You get someone a little higher, so they're more experienced. So please note that number. Subscription services, please go onto our website, sign up for subscription services. We'll give you tips, we'll give you guidance, we'll give you new tax law, like for withholding tax. We'll give you all the information regarding the change in withholding tax. We do not send out a lot of information. The IRS sends out stuff daily. I get it daily from them. I've signed up for things. We do not. I've signed up for every subscription service. We are very low on our emailing of this information. Reason being, our commissioner does not want to overload people and make it a useless thing where people are just going to ignore it. Okay? So please sign up. You can pick what tax types you want, so you don't have to worry about cannabis if you don't have any clients that are a cannabis retailer. We also have Ask Us a Question on the professional webpage for tax professionals. We have a place where you can ask us a question. Great spot for you to go, say, these forms are a little contradictory. Can you get some clarification? We can give you clarification. I ask you to go there. If you go into our website and you search Ask Us a Question. It's designed for you, tax professionals. I want you to be aware of it. It's there. We should respond within a few days. That's it. Thank you, everyone.